Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's June the 26th, and these are the charts of the day. Wanted to go over the box shorts tonight, but I saw so many compelling bullish charts and stocks that we follow that did well today that I thought we should at least continue on this road. But I will caution you that from the S&P and NDX standpoint, we're at key levels here. And although we see so many stocks moving and breaking out, particularly the biotech stocks, and we'll go over several of them tonight, we need to be careful here because they roll over in the market and another sharp leg down. We've already had four. The fifth wave could end it, but until we see where the market's headed, short-term direction, we need a thrust tomorrow to break it back out. If we do roll over, some of these stocks may back off. So caution, a word of caution. Starting out with Amyris, you can see how the short-term declining top line over the last few months broke here, was retested, got up to resistance, pulled back, formed a channel, and then ran up to that resistance and flagged for 4 or 5 days. Yesterday it surged. Today it ran up again and backed off finally, but it still was up 11 cents or 2.75%. So the bottom line is it's a stock that has a lot of momentum, strong volume in the last 3 sessions, and the top of the channel beckons at around 5, 5.25. I think we can get up there before we do back off anymore, and possibly even as high as, well, let's say 6, 6.5 a possibility. ATRS with a very good pattern as well. You can see that it surged in the last few months. It's been, well, in the last couple of years it's done very well, but in the last few weeks it snapped back sharply. Although it did violate support right in here, it quickly snapped back, got to resistance, backed off for a couple of days and went through it and retested it, and then popped today. Now, it was up as high as one point of 370 and closed 394 and closed at 371, only up 11 cents or 3%, but it appears that it may want to move higher if we get some volume and thrust. But in terms of the intermediate to longer term pattern, you can see that appears to be the rising channel there. And let's see if we can get some more upside. The longer term picture on ANTR is that this is an all-time high, so clear sailing ahead if we do get some more upside. AVNR, yet another junior biotech. Looking at this on a longer term basis, you can see the pattern looks to me like a large head and shoulders. There's your left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and a kind of a double shoulder, but key support right here from a symmetrical standpoint, nearly held, as the stock is now punched up through the neckline. And at this point, after we move up and test the 410 zone, that's our next target, we could very well see a move up towards 475.80, which would be my swing trade target here for Avenir. 3D Systems, a very strong move of late. You can see how the first of all, the stock moved beautifully in 2010, came down in 2011, and started again here in early 2012. And over the last several weeks, it's gone up, back, and a 5-wave move. The 5th wave could be completed, but not until it gets to the high 30s on a short-term basis. That could occur, but beware of the potential diverging technicals. ELLI, one of our swing trades, doing very well on a snapback today. Even though it looked like it was breaking out here, it then pulled back to retest support at that level. And now the double top up at this zone here needs to be taken out before it can move substantially higher. I'm looking for a move to about 17.5, 65 zone. And on a longer term basis, if this really starts to move, we could see the stock in the low 20s. Galena, big move of late. You can see how the stock had popped here with the thrust, pulled back, consolidated from flag for a couple days, moved up yesterday, followed through today. We're up against that line of resistance. Should we get through here, you very well see the stock at 250, my short-term swing, and a secondary target about 3 3/4. Glue. Well, I'm very pleased with today's action on glue. The volume was 5.4 million. That's the heaviest in about 6 weeks. And with that line being broken and today this line being taken out, it appears that we may make additional progress on glue and maybe get it as high as the top of the channel, which at this point comes in up here. First of all, let's test this high here. That's 610. That's my initial target and swing trade target, with a possible secondary target at the top of this channel coming in around 675, 685. But we also may get taken out on glue, looking pretty good. Lee, L-E-E. Well, we liked this stock back in January when it exploded and pulled back, but it really didn't do much for several months. It popped again, right to resistance, and backed off to form a coil, and then exploded. This pop here was due to Warren Buffett's and the announcement that Warren Buffett is investing in it. This pop here today was a clean technical breakout with increasing volume. Not only did it break through here yesterday, but it broke through this zone today and is now clear sailing into new high territory, which could take it up for a test near the 3.25 range. That would be a possible swing trade for Lee. ONXX, another junior biotech with a pop today. You can see key resistance up here being tested as we today, and although it did back off just slightly from there and move through that lane, could get us quickly into the high twos, maybe 265.75 to the top of the channel for starters. On a long-term basis, ONXX has a spike high here at 215 and then 378. So through this 215 here, I'm sorry, not 215. 287, there you go. So 287 to 275.85 would be my short-term target, followed by a possibility retested a swing trade and spike high up here at 3.75. ONXX doing great. Today upgraded after the stock was popped again last week. It's followed through, stalled yesterday on an inside day, and today popped again. Looking for a spike up to get this in the low 70s. Looking pretty darn good. OSIR, well, two things I want to point out. Fantastic run up, but we approached key overhead resistance in my 14.5, 15 zone, reaching as high as 1388 today. Now, I believe after the market closed today, they announced a secondary, and the stock was down after hours. So be careful on this one and look for some sort of pullback. But with this kind of momentum, even a secondary may not halt the decline. It gets down into the 11 range. This could be a snapback opportunity. So take a look at that one. RPRX, yet another biotech, broke out of the wedge that it was forming. Notice how quiet and narrow it got. Low volume ebb over here. Broke out a few days ago and has been edging up to finally test this whole high here at 984. Today's high, 988. So let's look at a longer term chart on RPRX. You can see this high here is 992. So we got a massive neckline on this base pattern. Should that be taken out with any kind of thrust, watch for RPRX to make a move all the way up into the high teens. There's very little overhead resistance, a little bit perhaps around 1680. So this could be a runner, and keep an eye on RPRX. SUPN, stock of the day with a monster move. Because it's a fairly new issue, we need to take this to the 15-minute basis and take a look at the short-term pattern. Here we have the big explosive gap, the sharp run-up which we caught today, and then over the course of the rest of the session, we'll see that the stock basically formed a falling channel or flag. Watch for a potential breakout of that line and another move up to retest the higher better. Wouldn't shock me to see this in the mid to high teens on a short-term basis. Threshold Pharmaceuticals made a move in the last couple days to get it from 6.5 up to 7.5. And take a look at the daily chart. You'll see that making a little bit of a move in volume in the last few sessions, perhaps getting ready for a move through that key resistance that's held it back since mid-April. But of course, that came after a monster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move to resistance, moving it up from under $1 to over 9. And you kind of move like that in such a short term. Usually it's followed by this kind of consolidation. But the technicals have held up so well that if it does break, it could explode here. Watch for a retest of 9, and then a move up towards 11. I put out a swing trade on it today. Swing trade VHC, which broke out here and pulled back, and then broke out again and backed off to form a coil. Today tried to break out and ran up to 35.68 before backing up to 35.14. Nevertheless, up a couple percent, it's up 76 cents. And volume increased to the best in a week, so perhaps it's getting ready for a pop. I am looking for 39.40 short term once it gets going. And lastly is Virengo. Folks, I want to point out that this stock, in the midst of this pullback, has actually improved its on-balance volume. And with money stream and balance and power near the top of the window, I'm looking for this stock at some point soon to maybe take an explosive move into the 6-7 zone. We'll have to see what happens with that, but it could be a powerful move when it comes. This is HB saying, have a good evening, everyone, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.